Everyone hold up. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you, everyone. And then we're gonna start with a nice pose and strike a pose where you put a hand under your face. So you can do it any way you want, hand under your face. Oh, I like that. And you're doing it very Clarence. I love the fact that you're doing your quarantine mask. I love it. Everyone, 1, 2, 3. Give me 1 second. I got to get to the other page too. 1, 2, 3. Gotcha. All right, and our last one is a freestyle. Whatever pose you like. Whatever way you want to be, however you want to express yourself on this Friday, end of the week, quarantine. So I love that, Kira, the double peace sign. Oh, with the sign. Love it. Okay, guys, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
All right, thanks, Anita. We love providing coffee and breakfast each month to you guys. We're sorry we're not able to hand you a hot cup of coffee or tea from one of our sustaining partners, White Tea Co. But we're gonna recreate the next best thing to that, to the coffee lineup. So it's that serendipitous moment when you get to connect and have a one-on-one conversation with someone else in the community. Yeah, so we'll give that a go.
Yeah, so for those of you who are on Zoom with us right now, Facebookers, don't worry, we'll chat with you in a few seconds. We're gonna go into our coffee line breakout rooms, and this means that you'll be sent into another room with a few of your fellow morning people, and we invite you to chat about this month's theme, which is Underdog. Some questions to kind of talk about are, do you root for the underdog, or do you think Baltimore has an underdog spirit? This is the time to turn on your cameras and you'll be able to unmute your mic in the breakout sessions. We recognize that breakouts aren't for everyone and you can simply just leave and come back to this main room if you'd like to hear me and Mario, but we highly encourage you, if the environment allows, to embrace this invitation for connection and say hello.
And a word of warning, it'll look like you're getting kicked out of the Zoom. It's not the case. Just sit tight and you'll get placed in your room. If you do find yourself in a room by yourself, it might be a bug. Just come back and join us on the main link.
Yeah, and last month a bunch of folks didn't get into the breakout, so we're totally sorry for that. But if you aren't placed in a room, just use the chat and we'll do our best to troubleshoot.
All right. So as we try to get everybody in rooms, Sabina, this is usually where we get our stretch on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to stretch.
Well,
I know you're sore from your workout.
All right, so it looks like everyone's going into breakout rooms. I'm gonna wait for my buddy Mario to come back so that we can do our stretches together.
I'm back.
All right,
I'm back in horizontal mode. I was kind of excited for a second to be in a breakout room, but
yeah, I kind of felt bad leaving the group. I was like, sorry, gotta leave.
Yeah, bye guys. I'm glad to be back with you though, Sabina.
Yeah, definitely. So the prompt that we had was, do you root for the underdog, or do you think Baltimore has an underdog spirit? I feel like I definitely do root for the underdog because, like, you can't not root for the underdog, right? Like, you'd be a jerk if you're not rooting for the underdog.
Yeah, I don't know who does that. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, though, there's a lot of rooting. I love your CM Ball mug, Sabina. Yes. Good representing. People like rooting for the bad guy, though, sometimes. Like, you know, I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, me and my brother we would play G.I. Joes, and we always wanted to be the bad guy characters because they were the coolest.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I definitely do root for the underdogs a lot, just because, like, I don't know, just like I can't help it. Like, I think like TV and movies just make it so emotional. Like, you know, like any reality show where there's a competition, they always tell you about like the story of somebody going through some rough time, and then you're like, ah, I have to
You
want
get caught in it.
to win. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know, recently with that Joker movie, it's like, you know, the Joker is a bad guy, right? But like,
Yeah.
it's like you're really rooting for him because he's like an underdog. So
That's a good one. That's like the bad guy and the underdog all in one. Yeah. Yeah.
So
The anti-hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about Baltimore? Do you think Baltimore has an underdog spirit?
Totally. I mean, I'm like, I grew up here, and so I think Baltimore has always had that going on in my 30 some years here, at least. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's the funny thing about like underdogs, right? Because it's like they're usually underestimated, like or
Yeah.
they're always underestimated, and then it's like, but like Baltimore is underestimated, but some of like the most amazing things have like come out of Baltimore, right? Like,
Yeah,
we have
totally.
amazing artists, we have amazing musicians. I don't know if you remember Drew Hill back in the day, but
Of course.
the R&B group, they're probably underdogs. They're probably still underdogs, but like I used to love Drew Hill, and like, you know, they came out of Baltimore. They got their name from like Drew Hill Park. So
there you go. Yeah.
But they're not
I don't know if any other Baltimoreans out there joining us remember the fudge. I think it was the Fudgery. I don't know, the Fudge Factory down at Harbor Place, where that all started. Singing at the Fudgery, whatever it's called.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to put any comments or has any great underdogs that they want us to mention, feel free to drop it in the chat box right now, and we'll definitely want to share that with you guys. I really like that song by Alicia Keys, Underdog, which is every time I listen to it, and it's on my workout mix because it like pumps me up and it like gets me like hype for my workouts.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I need some inspiration.
Yeah. But the playlist that we have today is pretty booming too. So definitely, like, you should probably just listen to our playlist.
Yeah, it's a good one. I need to post it on Instagram. It's really good. Veronica's killing it lately. Yeah, I'm real into it. Yeah. Sabina, I was gonna ask you, because I really didn't feel like stretching this week, to be honest. I feel every week we're stretching, or every month we're stretching. So I was gonna say, do you have, and this is clearly off topic, but do you have like a piece of artwork that's usually like up? I mean, you usually have a clean background here, but I assume your like entire living space is not just a white wall.
Yeah. Well, since we have 1 minute before we get back into our main screen, I can share really quickly if or maybe I can just save it till next time. It could be like a teaser, right?
Sure. We can do that next time.
So join us next time if you want to see some really interestingly cool artwork that both me and Mario have in our house.
Yeah. That's how you do it right there.
Yeah.
Cliffhanger.
just leave it there. So but I think we are all back. We're back in the main room.
All back?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Jazz hands. We hope you had a chance to connect and maybe made some new friends in your coffee line. Can we get a thumbs up for who roots for the underdog? I can't see the gallery view, but I feel like everyone probably has their thumbs up right now.
Yeah, and Okay, we got our thumbs up.
Yeah.
What about thumbs up for those of you who think that Baltimore has an underdog spirit?
Just all the thumbs up. We got this morning, man. We're killing it. All right. Thanks for being a part of our show again, everybody. I'm Mario.
And I'm Sabina, and we're going to hand it over to Kira. Over to you.
Oh, thank God. Kira.
Thank you, Mario. Thanks, Sabina. Good Baltimore morning, everyone. I am Kira Wisniewski. I'm your humble host and co-organizer of Creative Mornings Baltimore. So I want to start by continuing to say out loud, Black Lives Matter. I also want to acknowledge that we're all going through some level of trauma right now, and I think it's important to name that, recognize it, and also highlight that we're so grateful for you being here this morning. Thank you for being here. It's so good to see all your faces. And whereas virtual events can never replace that IRL connection, I hope that you are all taking advantage of that gallery view and just seeing each other's beautiful faces and enjoying it as much as I am. We also want to hear what you think about today's event. We're going to send a brief survey that you'll hopefully complete. I love actionable feedback, which Mario once tried to tell me isn't a term, but I'm going with it. The breakouts and how we run Q&A were all tweaked because of your feedback from previous events. So thank you in advance for completing that survey. So today we have the honor to welcome Raina Smallwood, one of the amazing women behind Cedar and Cotton, to read the Creative Mornings Manifesto. So let's have some jazz hands for Raina. Let me find her. All right, over to you, Raina.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Let me read the manifesto. Everyone create and creative life requires bravery and action, honesty, and hard work. We are here to support you, celebrate with you, and encourage you to make the things you love. We believe in the power of community. We believe in giving a damn. We believe in face-to-face connections and learning from others, and virtual hugs and jazz hands and high fives. We bring together people who are driven by passion and purpose, confident that they will inspire one another and inspire change in neighborhoods, cities around the world. Everyone is welcome.
Thank you so much, Raina. We appreciate you and everything you do for Baltimore. Thank you to you, Sarah, for the gift and joy of Cedar and Cotton. And can't wait to see what you do next.
Thanks.
So who is joining us for the first time today? Can you raise your mug if you're joining us for the first time? Hello, welcome. I see you, Christy. I see you, Pablo. What's up? What's up? And then who is joining us for not your first time this morning? You've seen us before. Oh, hello. Welcome back. So lovely to see your faces again. We're just delighted. So let's do a couple more raise your mugs. So raise your mug if you're joining us from Baltimore or the Baltimore area today. Hey, Charm City. Raise your mug if you're joining us from a different place that is not Baltimore or the Baltimore area. Oh, hey, hello. And then raise your mug if you feel grateful for someone or something this morning. Oh, yay, I love to see that gratitude. So Creative Mornings is run on an engine of generosity. And we cannot do what we do without just really people and companies that give a damn. And typically I'd ask our volunteers to stand right now, but I do want to give a special shout out to Mario, Sabina, Erlene, Anita, Eric, and Amanda, who are helping both in front of and behind those built-in laptop computers, cameras this morning. This is also where I'd have slides of all the logos of our beloved partners, but we're going analog. And luckily I have some signs courtesy of one of our sustaining partners, Alpha Graphics. So I've said it many times, but on a very personal level, one of the greatest things about Creative Mornings Baltimore is the opportunity to work with some of my favorite local businesses. So including Alpha Graphics, we also have Hasa, Impact Hub, Local Color Flowers, Maryland Art Place, Pixelated Photo Booths, White Tea Company. So all of our sustaining partners, as well as the partners that we got to work with in 2019 and 2020, can be found in a link that Anita and Arlene are both dropping in the chat right now. And we really encourage you to support them more than ever right now. And if you monetarily can't support them, please consider writing them a positive review online, or even just follow them on social media, give them likes, spread the word. Just really anything really helps support this, like, you know, local amazing ecosystem that we have going on here in Baltimore. And then globally, we're supported by MailChimp, WordPress, and Basecamp. So that means that they support all the chapters all over the world of Creative Mornings. So shout out to them. Okay, so the theme that we're exploring this month is Underdog. Another sign, hey. So Underdog is presented by MailChimp. It was selected by the Edinburgh chapter and illustrated by Astrid Jekyll. So I love an underdog. I love an underdog story. And I absolutely think that Baltimore has that underdog spirit. And I love Baltimore. We're excited to welcome Lady Brion as this month's speaker to talk more about the theme. So let me read her bio now. So, and then I'm also doing the Zoom piloting, so I need to find her in the chat real quick so I can just like cue her up. All right, real profesh over here, y'all. Okay, so Lady Brion is an award-winning poet, activist, and organizer. She arguably is one of the most successful slam poets in the country. Her most recent championships include Southern Fried Poetry Slam, Rust Belt Poetry Slam, and the National Poetry Slam. She is the founder and executive director of Maryland's first and only Black Arts District and the author of With My Head Unbowed. Lady Brion received her bachelor's in communication from Howard University and her MFA in creative writing from the University of Baltimore. Creative Mornings Baltimore, please join me in welcoming Lady Brion to the virtual stage.
This be a migration home, to a place where saxophone tongues sing the blues, where the sky is made of jazz so it rains in improv, where club mixes bellow from turntables to speakers making legs go crazy in exuberance. As we dance our pain away, this is where music is made, where drums pulsate open palms, slap sound loose from djembe's hands uplifted like praise. Bodies pattern after joy, smiles on face. We are people darker than blue, bleed purple in Oreo hues, souls kaleidoscope dope, spirits dipped in gold so we feel in color. We Sphinx, Lennox, and Royal, a legacy etched into our essence. We shake and bake, we roller skate and bounce back from the stress of our schedules home, where memories are stitched into murals and love pours like paint on canvas the avenue, where even our attitudes are beautiful, like mosaics of resilience. We textured and gritty, we be history living in the present, arch social club type of relic, over 100 years distinguished, where the leaders of men could chop it up like kinfolk a toast. May the jazz bands never stop playing. We the home of Freddie Gray and the place his body laid, the groundwork for an uprising. We spirits rising, homage to ancestors. May their wisdom be our guidance. Ethel Waters, UB Blake, Chick Webb, and Cab Calloway, Billie Holiday, to the ancestors of today. Scooter became an idol for a generation. Ashe, this be a migration back to the authentic. You can feel it in the streets The concrete christened this culture, a city baptized in a cornucopia of melanated magnificence. We, the future's image, picture perfect even in our imperfection. This still life celebrates the fact that we are still alive. We, poets, making monuments of microphone. We speak into existence, consecrating an arts community made family. We be the Black Arts District, which means we be bad. We so bad. We good. All right, so if we were like in community together, this would be the part where everybody like clap and like snap and like, but it's virtual. So I hope that you enjoy that and that you're snapping and clapping in your spirit or in your living room, in your kitchen. But I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning for this talk. Again, my name is Lady Brion, and I am the executive director of the Pennsylvania Avenue Black Arts and Entertainment District. And I thought it would be awesome to start with a poem because I am a professional spoken word poet, and that is a part of what brought me to my journey to work with community members and organize to create what is Maryland's first Black Arts and Entertainment District. And so I really felt like it connects to this idea of the underdog, which I'll get into in a little bit, but I think it's important to name that this is an artist-led movement. This is a Baltimore-led movement. This is a Black-led movement to really revitalize West Baltimore using arts and entertainment. And so that's a little bit about myself as an artist. I work with Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle and Do More Baltimore and some other organizations in the city. And art has really been a big part of my life, a big part of my journey. And this project really was a space where my organizing side connected to my arts and culture side. And through that intersection, again, I was able to join. At the time, Mayor Catherine Pugh had a task force for safe art. And it was about creating a space where we could think through how to make art more accessible, but also safer for DIY spaces that were not up to code or potentially put people's lives in danger, like the ghost ship fire that happened on the West Coast. We wanted to make sure we were creating a space where that wasn't possible in Baltimore, and that people could get access to the resources they needed to make their DIY spaces more safer, and or just safer, not more safer. And so as a Black artist, a part of that task force, one of the things that I offered is that there have been so many people who have been looking to create a cultural district along Pennsylvania Avenue. If we're talking about creating greater access in a city like Baltimore, the city should support an effort to actually create an arts district or a cultural district on Pennsylvania Avenue. And I was met with some reticence. I remember being told that it would be a symbolic gesture, but it wasn't taken as something that would be impactful or create an economic thrust or really be a part of the engine to revitalize West Baltimore, as you've seen in other arts districts like Station North, like Bromo, like Highlandtown. But for me, all I needed was a yes, a spark of interest for me to take off running and connect with people in community and do some community events to really think about, are there other people who are currently working on this who would be interested in jumping on the bandwagon and taking it further? And so that's exactly what I did in 2018. I had a community meeting, about 100 people came, and that was the starting point that lasted from February 2018 until about April of 2019. We were organizing in attempt to create this arts district. And so we had walking tours and we had community charrettes and envisioning sessions. We got about 5,000 signatures on a petition. I was working with organizations like some of which you heard in the poem, Art Social Club, and folks from the Avenue Bakery and community residents in West Baltimore, Upton Planning Committee, Druid Heights CDC. There were a big coalition of individuals who were all working in collaboration to make this possible. And in July 2019, so just over a year ago, we were actually designated by the state of Maryland as the first arts and entertainment district dedicated to celebrating, promoting, and supporting African-American creatives in the city and their cultural productions, right? And so as of January of this year, we became a nonprofit, and we're moving toward continuing to do that work. I want to say that, you know, during this very short period of time that we've existed, we really have been thinking about how to support artists during this COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm really proud to say the small team that I work with, who are also artists and folks who live and believe in Baltimore, we were able to support artists through a number of digital programs where we just paid artists to be artists. These were art competitions, these were art showcases, concerts, and we pushed out about $10,000 to support artists during that time. And so it's funny when I start to think about this theme of the underdog, I think it's directly connected to the story of the arts and entertainment district, because you know, I know it's early, and, you know, but I don't know when's a better time to talk about the ways in which racism has impacted Black folk in this country. But there is no greater underdog story than that of Black folks in America, who are consistently fighting for a space, fighting for recognition, fighting for equality, right? And despite all of the reasons why we would not win, we continue to fight. And so when asked would I speak about the underdog story, I'm like, that's my story as a Black woman in Baltimore, but that's also the story of the Black arts district, because many people didn't believe it was possible. Many people didn't understand why Pennsylvania Avenue, why in a community that has been consistently disinvested in, consistently overlooked, why there, right? There are so many other thriving parts of Baltimore City that we could choose. But it is the spirit of the underdog. It is the grit. It is the attitude of Black folks in Baltimore that made it make most sense for Pennsylvania Avenue. And also thinking about the rich legacy of Pennsylvania Avenue, that was a hub for arts and culture, that was a space where Black excellence thrived. It had over 30, you know, theaters. It had a Black-owned movie house. It had a Black-owned medical center just blocks away from Pennsylvania Avenue. There's just this rich history of greatness, right, that comes out of the Black radical tradition and Black excellence. And so there is no other place other than Pennsylvania Avenue. And we don't shy away from this underdog story. That's just not who we are as a people. So it made so much sense for us not only to choose Pennsylvania Avenue, but for us to use arts and culture as a part of the revitalization and community development strategy. And so in the few minutes that I have left, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the future plans that we have. So again, we're a very, very new organization. And so a lot of the work that we're doing is internal, right? We're creating our board of directors and working on a strategic plan and doing all of that internal work to make sure that we are operating in decency and order for the constituents that we represent and the residents of West Baltimore, creatives in Black Baltimore, right? But I also want to share that we are gearing up for a few things. Definitely looking at 2021, when hopefully the world opens back up and we are able to collectively gather again. There are a lot of events that we are looking to do that will support Black creatives in the city. So if you are a Black creative or someone who services Black creatives, we are open to connecting with you. We would love to learn about what you're doing and how we can plug in, but also some thoughts that you might have about some programming we're gearing up for. I want to also share that particularly in West Baltimore, we're looking at doing some creative placemaking. And so two things. One, we want to brand Pennsylvania Avenue as a Black arts and entertainment district. So pole banners and some other creative installations, right? We're also going to be teaming up with T. Rowe Price and BOPA, some other folks, to do a historic photography project, which will be a series of installations outside that will tell the story of Pennsylvania Avenue through people and places that are no longer with us. And so we are looking to connect with other historians and visual artists who can weigh in on how we should roll out this piloted program. And hopefully, if it's done well, this is something that can be transplanted to other parts of Baltimore or other cities as well. And so we're really excited about seeing how that can take form along Pennsylvania Avenue. We're also looking at doing, this is not a thing yet, but I'm going to share it because we're speaking things into existence this morning. But we really want to look at how can we create a sort of resource fair for artists of different genres in 2021, right? So thinking about what are artists' needs and how can we help artists to get to a place where they can monetize their art form, or take hobby artists to professional artists, right? What are those things that you need? Is it professional headshots? Is it accounting services? Is it legal services? What is it that you need? And how can we bring together all those resources to support artists at one time, and kind of be a platform and a connector for artists to get what they need in the city. So we have a lot of big plans, a lot of things that I didn't mention, a lot of things that I want to share with you. But I had a short time this morning, so I hope that tells you a little bit about who we are as the Arts and Entertainment District, some of the plans that we have, and I hope that you will connect with us in the future. I see some messages in the chat, so I think that the link to our website, www.blackartsdistrict.org, is there, as well as our social media, which is Official Black Arts District on Instagram and Facebook. My name is Lady Brion. I'm personally on Instagram at Lady B Speaks if you want to connect with me personally. But I want to thank y'all for listening, and this was super cool and super dope, even digitally. And I want to say shout out to the flowers that Kira brought me yesterday. I decided to try to put them in the shot, so I hope it wasn't distracting. But thank you all so much, and that is it for me.
Thank you so much, Lady Brion. Can we get some jazz hands and snaps and yeah. I loved it so much. So we're now gonna have some time for some Q&A. So if you're joining us on Zoom, if you click on participants, you'll see that at the bottom of the participants list, there are some options. So if you want to ask a question live in the room, you can click the yes, the green check, and then we can kind of do it that way. If you're not comfortable speaking out loud, or if you're joining us on Facebook, you're welcome to use the chat and we'll read from there. Also, if Twitter's your jam, Eric is over there, so you can tweet at us at Baltimore_CM, and then Eric can read your questions. So I'll go ahead and kick it off. So hearing about everything you've done in a year is bananas. Like you are such a force, and it's just such a privilege to be in dialogue with you about that. But I'm sure that there was probably some challenges that came along. It just probably wasn't just easy breezy in this past year. I was wondering if you could maybe share a challenge you've encountered along in your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, you know, keeping up with the theme of Underdog. I think talking about some of the challenges is really necessary, because sometimes we can romanticize the process to success. And it was definitely not easy. So I'll name a few things. One is that, you know, Baltimore is a city of neighborhoods, and I love it. And people get territorial around their neighborhoods. So I remember when I first decided to start organizing people and connecting with people, it was a barrier. Oh, sorry. That was the timer, so I can make sure I did for my 15 minutes. But there was a barrier that I had to overcome, where people, you know, had distrust because I wasn't born on Pennsylvania Avenue, right? Grew up in Baltimore, but I wasn't born right within the district's footprint. There was a whole lot of issues around me being young, right? I'm under 30 until Monday, because that's my birthday. So still under 30, and I'm a young woman, and there was a whole lot that I had to fight through just for people to hear my voice on Pennsylvania Avenue. And then the second thing I'll mention is, you know, as far as that hurdle and that territorial beef, there were other community organizations who have been doing work for 20, 30 years, in which, you know, I was hoping to look to them for guidance and for, you know, assurance and affirmations. But I think that sometimes new and shiny things make people uncomfortable. And so instead of being met with an embrace, I was met with opposition. And I had to consistently work to build that trust and build those relationships. And I'm still working to do that. And so I definitely feel like those were some big hindrances that I had to work through during that year's time.
So I see that Christy has a question. Christy, do you want to unmute and ask in the room?
Sure. Yeah, I was just curious if you could speak about sort of like what keeps you motivated through like challenges that you had mentioned, and just sort of how you stay focused on the big picture even when things are sort of, I don't know, like things that might cause doubt or things like that.
Yeah, that's a super great question. So I'll name two things. One, I didn't come to this work to like be a leader or like be the star at all. Like at all, I thought I was going to be behind the scenes, but I came to this work as an artist in Baltimore who I thought I would just continue to be an independent artist. And so when thinking about the work of the Arts District, I'm thinking about my own journey as an artist and how other people should be able to become professional artists, arts entrepreneurs, own creative enterprises. Like they deserve that space. And so every day that I get up and do this work, I'm thinking about my own journey and all the other people that I'm creating a path for to be able to have that same journey. And that's motivation enough. And I also have a circle of friends who are bomb. And every time I get down, every time I start to question if I'm worthy, if I should be in this space, if this project is the thing that we should keep pushing for, they are the cheerleaders that are like, girl, bye, absolutely. And, you know, we're going to make it. We're going to be all right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am forever a champion of like strong friendships and female friendships in particular. So yeah, shout out to that. Does anybody else have a question? They can go ahead. You can jump in with the green check. I'm looking at the participants, seeing if anybody else has a question right now. I see that Camille over in the Facebook chat wants to partner with you at Motor House.
Yes.
So she's gonna holler at you there. Okay, so maybe it's early, you know. I'll still, if you're warming up for some questions, I can do another one. So hopefully 5 years down the road, we're not in a pandemic anymore.
Hopefully
we are meeting in person and things can be, you know, relatively back to normal, so to speak. What's your vision for the Black Arts District 5 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an awesome question. And I want to talk a bit about something that we are thinking through in this moment, and hopefully it will materialize, you know, in 5 years or less. So in our application to the state, we talked about wanting to create an anchor institution that is owned and operated by the Black Arts District. And so over the past couple of months, we've been fleshing out what that could look like and what that would be. And so we've been talking about the idea of creating a Black arts incubator space, right? And the idea behind that space would be creating an institution that is designed to support burgeoning artists. Again, those who are looking from moving from a hobby artist to a professional artist, or looking to take master classes or workshops, looking to do residencies, looking to network with other artists. You may be looking for rehearsal space or performance space, right? This would be the kind of center that is taking all of those things into consideration and creating a environment designed for creatives to be able to build and monetize and realize their dreams. And so we're really excited about the opportunity to create something like that. And when you think about a lot of incubator spaces or co-working spaces, typically they have those sort of large anchor institutions that have, you know, large budgets that can be anchor tenants for a long time and make that model sustainable. But because we are looking at an effort to support the anti-gentrification framework that we have, as to not displace people in community, as to build on the pre-existing culture and demographic of Pennsylvania Avenue, then we're not looking at bringing those large sort of, namely white institutions to anchor this kind of building. We're looking for those small grassroots creative enterprises, organizations, and independent artists who can help to anchor that space and in a cooperative model help to sustain the space itself. So we're really excited about that opportunity. And the last thing that I'll mention is we would love to be able to buy up some of the vacant residential properties on Pennsylvania Avenue and create like an Airbnb style temporary housing model so that when there are traveling artists coming in and out of the city or doing long form residencies, that there'll be a place that they can be housed in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Avenue Arts District.
I love that. I love how big these visions are. I'm like so here for it. So we're gonna pop it over to Eric now for another question.
Hi, thank you so much for being here with us this morning. I love that Airbnb idea. My mother grew up on Division Street, 1 block north of Pennsylvania Avenue, and she used to talk about how when Black artists would come to perform, I think at the Royal Theater, they would stay at people's houses because they couldn't stay, they weren't allowed to stay in hotels. So anyway, my question relates to that actually. What resources are you finding to recreate the history of the district, much of which has probably been lost to time or purposefully erased? And are you finding, like, are there challenges that you're encountering putting together that history?
Yeah, so if I'm understanding your question, when you're talking about resources, you mean like historical text or pictures? Okay, yeah. So yeah, I will say that some of that stuff is lost, but you'd be surprised that there is a lot of history that exists. You have, Maryland's Historic Society, you have different museum curators, you have different journalists and photographers and artists who they have whole collections of history about Pennsylvania Avenue, but they haven't had a place to share it publicly. And so these live in people's living rooms, these live in archives, but they don't have places to share it widely. And so the first thing is just gathering those people who still exist, those living histories are within people, and creating spaces to allow the public to explore that as well. And then beyond that, I think, we can start to do more research outside of our, local community that would also inform those histories.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We have a question from Chandra, if you want to go ahead and unmute.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing. I just wanted to hear a little bit more about your journey as a spoken word artist. And, if we run out of questions, just feel free to do another piece for us.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I have been a performing artist for about, let me see, probably about like 18 years now. I started really early when I was in middle school. And I just really love this. I really love this show called Deaf Poetry Jam. And I used to watch it religiously. And I remember my favorite poet was Sonny Patterson out of New Orleans. And I just wanted to be just like Sonny Patterson. So I would, write my little poems, and I started to share them. And I just had a family. I come from a family of preachers, and they just were like, yes, share it in the church, in the pulpit, like everywhere, making space for it. And I just kind of took that and ran with it. And nobody could tell me I wasn't a poet. Like I, in my mind, had decided I was a poet. And everywhere I went, I was trying to find opportunities to perform, and people consistently made space. Like, when I was a debater in high school, they would let me open up debate competitions, and, at lunch, they would let me perform for all the students. And so by the time I got to college, I was a successful and paid youth artist. And so my experience at Howard University was definitely colored by that. And that's probably the thing I did most. And that's where I really started to professionalize my art. So when I came back to Baltimore, I was already a full-time artist, and I probably haven't had a 9-to-5 job since 2013 because I've just, been an artist and traveled the world doing this. And I'm also a part of the slam community. And so I do a lot of competitions. Baltimore is actually nationally renowned in the slam community. We've won a lot of competitions, and so that's a big part of my journey as well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
John, I don't know if you want to unmute and ask your question live in the room, or I can ask it for you. Up to you. Okay, so John wants to know, what are some artists that inspire you?
Some artists that inspire me. Okay. I'm going to lift up Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison, absolutely one of my favorite writers. The way that she approaches, the way that she did approach her writing in a very unapologetic and authentic way, and the way she lifts up the Black experience is just something that I always was in love with, and definitely, again, one of my favorite writers. I also lift up Amiri Baraka because I think I see myself as an artivist, and I think Amiri Baraka was also an example of what an artivist looks like, where the way that you navigate the world is through your art form. And Amiri Baraka was also a poet, but that intersects with your activism and your advocacy and how you seek to change the world. And so I definitely model my thoughts about artivism after Amiri Baraka. And let's see. I don't have to name many. I can just start with two, because I was about to take a lot of time, but you know what? Let's just go with two.
We have a question from the Facebook chat. From your travels, what places outside of Baltimore inspire your creativity and your writing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay. So I traveled and performed in Accra, Ghana, West Africa. And I will have to say that was a transformational experience. Definitely want to go back many, many times. And I feel like, I am a Afrocentric, Black nationalist in my framework, and Pan-Africanist in my framework as well. And so definitely that journey to Africa has colored my writing, but I think in general, my worldview is colored by that as well. So I'm going to say Africa, but specifically Ghana, West Africa. Also, places like, I love New Orleans. I love Texas. No, Texas is weird, because I should explain. Texas is a place that I'm going to name because it is where the Women of the World's Poetry Slam has been held for several.
Uh-oh, did we freeze? Oh no! It's frozen for everyone, or just me? It's frozen for everyone. No! Dang it.
Yeah, I think we lost Lady Brion.
I know. And we were just, it was going so well. Come on, internet, be on our side. So hopefully we'll bring her back. Lady Brion, come back. I don't see her. I think we totally lost her because I don't see her in the participants list anymore. Aw, dang y'all. April, do you want to ask your question? She won't hear it though. Oh, Mario, lead us into stretching.
Maybe April can drop your question in the chat. And if anybody else has any more questions, drop them in the chat real quick. And we'll wrap up here, and we'll ask Lady Brion, and we'll post her responses for everybody. How about that?
Oh wait, I see her back in the participants list.
All right.
Oh, I was apologizing, but my iPad was muted.
There you are.
You're back.
Yay! You're back.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm so glad you're back. So okay, let's go ahead and sorry for that. Thanks everyone for bearing with us. Let's April, bring us home with the last question.
Okay.
Okay. Hi. Good morning. So I am an artist, and I have a child who's also an artist. And as a parent of a young creative person in Baltimore City, I feel like I had to work really hard to find opportunities for her in the arts before high school age. And I also, as an artist, understand that it was challenging for a lot of kids. My daughter went to Baltimore School for the Arts. In those years leading up to that, you had to be really intentional to find things. And I feel like there's probably a lot of kids who maybe didn't have parents that were connected to the art community or were connected enough that are talented and didn't have exposure to arts, and are just wondering what your vision is for young people and how the Baltimore Arts District intends to, if there are any plans, how do you plan to work with young people?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's a really good point. I think many students in Baltimore would suggest the same, that, you know, finding those arts opportunities can be difficult. For us at the Black Arts District, I think a few things are true. One, we intend to be, this is going to be weird. I was trying to find a better word. I was going to say intend to be intentionally. That's a weird phrasing, but intentional about our partnerships with Baltimore City Public Schools, with community organizations that connect to young people like Do More Baltimore, like Young Audiences, and many others who have already created a space and a platform to help young people who are connected to different art forms, whether it's literary, visual, you know, and the list goes on. I want to say, you know, as an arts district, we can't take on the responsibility of doing it all, but we can be the connector between institutions that are doing that work and the artists who have the skills to be able to pour into young people. Because what is one of the things that is unfortunate about the way the school system is currently operating is I don't think they make enough space for the community artists, professional artists, college trained artists who are in Baltimore and all around working right now as master artists to actually be in the classroom with young people, right? There's just not a pipeline for that. And so we are definitely dedicated to advocating for creating more spaces for working artists to be able to create programming for young people, both in school and out of school time. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you again, Lady Brion, and thank you and happy early birthday.
Thank you.
It's been such a delight to have you here this morning. There has been some requests for you to close us out with a poem, but I don't know if you want to do that or not. I don't want to put you on the spot. So
sure. Yep. I can do that.
All right. So well, maybe while collecting your thoughts, we'll do another activity real quick. We're gonna do a selfie moment with Lady Brion while she's collecting her thoughts about a poem right now. So go ahead and I'm gonna spotlight you again, and go ahead and get out your camera and do a little selfie. I'm gonna do it. And then we'd love to see these on the internets if you would wanna, hey. Fun.
Okay.
So wait, I'll do one more thing and then we'll close out with your poem, okay? I just wanna put on everyone's calendar. Next week, we're really excited to invite Arena Stein. She is the founder of Alma Casina. And so she will be preparing a really unique talk in a unique setting. And it's gonna include special guests from Mirror Kitchen and more. She'll be exploring the theme purpose. So that's gonna be a real treat on August 28th. So I want to just like August 28th, Arena. It's gonna be so good. So yeah, thank you all for being here so much. I know it doesn't replace the IRL experience, but hopefully you've felt a little bit of community this morning. I've really enjoyed our time with you, so hopefully you have too. And yes, I would love to now invite Lady Brion to close us out with a poem. Thank you again.
Okay, thank y'all for putting me on the spot with this other poem. No, just kidding. So this poem, it's definitely one of my favorites. It's a poem I wrote a few years ago. If you Google my name, it's probably the first poem you'll find. So we're gonna go with that one. It's entitled "I Talk Black," and I wrote it after a conversation with a student of mine about really embracing and loving the Black vernacular that she speaks with. So we're gonna go with that. I have been folding my tongue beneath itself, bleaching my language, clenching my jaw with shackled teeth, because the moment I open my mouth, uprising spring from my saliva, my dialogue is cruddy, sampled with the muddy boots of trade and migration, battling nations in my diaphragm, so the rhythm in my diction sounds like a war cry. And despite the white stuffed down my windpipe, I talk Black with nappy phonics, syllables that kink and twist, naughty expression that beads on my palate, soul glow in this spit shine flow, Jerry curl jogging, bongo drums in my diction. This slang is semantic resistance, off with the head of the King's English. Can't you smell the riot on my breath? Char in my esophagus, my laugh is awesome. And ain't enough opiates in this elementary education to hook me on phonics or gentrify the djembe out of my pronunciation. Love the taste of this cornbread accent. Sugarcane slang, my tongue is motherland, mama of civilization, birth of every nation, scat, boom, bat, hi-hat, jazz sax. There is music in my melanin, and I be talking super Black. With a neck roll to articulate my tone, conversations get too high as my cheekbones, and lingo about lush as these hips done grown, thick thighs and deep fried vernacular, hand motions and sound effects, hieroglyphics hidden in my messages. My breath is the building of the pyramids on repeat. I'm like a Negro spiritual sampled over a trap beat. There is a Black anthem inside my belly, so I will always lift every voice and speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a great morning. We love you.
Bye.
Living in ruins, took what we had and I blew